call the meeting to order. First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody here this evening. I want to thank you for attending the public meeting. And I would ask if you have a cell phone to turn it off or put it on silence. The purpose of this public hearing is to present the proposed financial plan, and the hearing will go as follows. We'll have the financial plan. Our CAO will do the presentation for you. There'll be questions and comments by registered, and then there'll be questions from council, and then the final opportunity for new comments. And then there will be the closing of this hearing. So that's how this goes. So as many of you are aware, the municipality had asked the province for an extension. So this public hearing is normally held a little earlier, but this was slightly delayed due to the single mill rate and the introduction of the special service levies. And this is the first financial plan with these changes, and we've had another busy year with many highlights. There's always a balance that every municipal council tries to achieve between keeping taxes as low as possible while still maintaining the expected levels of service for everyone. This is increasingly difficult as in the midst of rapidly rising costs in every aspect of this municipality. Transportation, gravel, policing, insurance, and any upgrading into our core infrastructure are just a few. And this is all considerably higher than it has been even in recent years. The council and staff have worked really hard to maintain this balance of costs versus services. And it takes a lot of time, but I'd like to at this time thank the council and the staff for their hard work on this plan. So this evening, Leo Poulin, he's our CAO. He will present the highlights for this year, and then we'll have a time for questions after the highlights. Leo?
Thank you, Judy. This year, our key strategic priorities for 2024 are keeping taxes low during difficult times, dealing with the long-standing single mill rate requirement, and upgrading core infrastructure. This year, we're proposing a municipal increase of 3.5%. As everyone is well aware, the cost of living increases in Manitoba and everywhere has caused significant impacts on all people. The cost of living has been rampant over the past handful of years, and it is again well above our municipal increase at 4.413%. Another priority for our municipality is dealing with the single mill rate. We have been fighting for many years to have the ability to keep 2 mill rates, but we were unsuccessful in our lobbying efforts. An extensive overview was presented at our hearing a few weeks back. Our municipality made significant efforts to try and be as fair as possible to our ratepayers. As unlike majority of amalgamated municipalities, we did not do the easy thing, and that is to go entirely at large, as taxes in rural for our municipality would increase by 24.4%, and taxes in town would be going down by 21.1%. And finally, upgrading our core infrastructure. As we are investing for today, we are also investing for the future. We are not alone, as in Canada in 2020, the cost of replacing or rehabilitating all municipal assets that are currently in poor or very poor condition was in the range of $170 billion. Again, we are doing our very best to ensure taxes are as low as possible, fair, and all while investing in our key infrastructure all throughout the municipality. This year, we're excited to share with you our highlights for 2024. We are acquiring land and doing some upgrades for future development and growth of our great community. Council has prioritized housing as one of the top priorities, but are also focused on commercial, recreation, and healthcare facilities. We are investing in our trailer park, which includes an expansion and infrastructure improvements. This improvement not only allows for growth in our trailer park by having more service lots available, but by partnering with Western Artrib with the land, this gives Western Artrib the ability to not only commit long-term to its operation in Boissevain, but also allows them to expand and grow as needed. There is a huge commitment made by Western Artrib, and we thank them, as our community is very fortunate to have such an amazing industry in our community, as they also provide many jobs and opportunities for our community. We're also updating our zoning bylaw. This project is important as it directly correlates with our most recently updated development plan, and that we completed in June of 2023. We are working with the same consulting firm, HTFC, and it also includes the same staff involved as we had when we did our development plan. So familiarity is critical, as well as their extensive knowledge is greatly appreciated. This is very important to have when we are undergoing key strategic planning initiatives such as this. We are upgrading our northeast storm sewer in town. This is a critical project as it provides general drainage for the entire northeast corner of town. This project has been on hold for a couple years as we had a string of unfortunate luck with weather and limited windows of opportunity due to scheduling conflicts, but the project was just completed last week, so good news here. And finally, we have some significant major utility projects underway, and they include a water main expansion, which allows for a loop for the hospital, a renewal and upgrade of our reservoir aeration system, as it was in bad condition and it was well beyond its lifespan. The design and scope change of our new lagoon. At this point, we can only share limited details as we are still awaiting for a pending funding announcement. But once this takes place, we will be having an open house to provide a fulsome update to our municipality. So please stay tuned for additional information. We're also doing a pre-design study relating to our treated reservoir and water plant capacity. And we are also making important upgrades to our water plant filter media. This process is in which it polishes the water and remove organics, which is a very important part of our water plant. In 2024, our municipal budget is significantly increasing by nearly 800,000 over the previous year. This is primarily due to a significant amount of grants we were able to secure. This includes a few cost share grants received by the municipality. Huge and significant progress continues for the municipality as we continue to apply for and receive significant funding assistance for key infrastructure. Our total revenue consists of municipal taxes, roughly 4.3 million, and is 48.61%. Our school taxes, which is in and out, is roughly 2.8 million and is 31.79%. And then our other revenue, which is at 1.76 million and is 19.6% of our total revenue. The breakdown for school taxes are listed there as well. We are providing roughly 2.5 million to the Turner Mountain School Division, 103,000 to the Southwest Horizon School Division, and roughly 270,000 to the Provincial Education Support Levy. In 2024, there is a significant change relating to school taxes portion of your tax bill, and that is the 50% rebate will now be directly applied to your property tax notice. The 50% rebate relates to residential and farm properties only. Other commercial properties will receive 10%, and this also will be applied to your 2024 property tax notice. Concerns and additional changes are tentatively planned for 2025 by the province, but once again, we as a municipality have no control over provincial decisions relating to school taxes. And this includes its original phase-out plan initially scheduled for 2027. As always, the province is creating significant and at times confusing changes, and these changes, good or bad, make it challenging to roll out for municipalities, as the changes directly affect municipalities. And when municipalities are putting its best efforts to provide financial accountability and implementing minimal impact effects, it is challenging, but once again, we are unfortunately have no power or control over this issue. As previously mentioned, our other revenue is over 1.7 million in 2024, nearly 650,000 up from previous year. And when you look at a 10-year comparison, we are up over $1 million since 2025 and roughly 900,000 since 2019. This is thanks to strategic and financial planning by the municipality. Today we are equipped and able to be successfully secure with many new grants that we have not received in the past. With such positive buzz, we are starting to get regional and in some cases provincial recognition. This positive buzz is a testament to the efforts and decisions made by council, as well as putting faith in me and my staff. Significant efforts have been made to improve our core services, all while keeping a keen eye on our finances by constantly implementing best value for dollar principles and by being effective and efficient. Our other revenue for the year, we have earmarked the Department of Municipal Relations, which provides us a municipal operating grant in the amount of $316,000 from the Department of Justice for policing in the amount of $226,000. From the federal government through the Canada Building Fund, formerly known as the gas tax, $138,000. And then the following all have red check marks besides them, as they are the grants that we have applied for and successfully received. And they are from the Department of Municipal Relations for Handy Van, $24,000. From the Culture and Heritage Career Start Program, $6,600. From Natural Resources, the Dutch Elm Program, $3,200. From Manitoba Water Services, a total of $235,000 for 3 different projects. And they are the Lagoon Detail Design, a water plant study, and the Boissevain Reservoir Aeration Upgrade. And then from the MFPP program, we received $177,000, which we have secured this funding for our trailer court expansion project. And finally, we have a pending EMO claim from spring flood 2023 in the amount of roughly $150,000.
Leo, what's MFPP?
It's a provincial program.
Okay.
Yeah. I forget the exact
Yeah,
acronym.
I was trying to think of the acronym.
They keep changing all the time.
One day it's this,
Yeah.
one day it's not.
Our total expenditures, municipal expenditures, is estimated at $6.1 million for the 2024 year. Municipal operating services is $4.36 million and is 71.36% of our budget. Capital is $657,000, 10.77%. Our general reserve is $354,000 and is 5.8%. Debenture debt charges is at $407,000 at 6.67%. The Canada Building Fund reserve is at $138,000 at 2.26%. Our utility reserve transfer is at $185,000 at 3.02%. And then our allowance for tax assets is roughly $7,000 and is 0.12% of our total municipal expenditures for the year. So our expenditures by service area is our reserves is at $677,000. Fiscal services, $1,065,000. Recreation and cultural services, $468,000. Economic development services, $260,000. Environmental Development Services, 68,000. Public Health and Welfare Services, 24,000. Environmental Health Services, 186,000. Transportation, which continues to be our largest service area, and this year has eclipsed the 2 million mark for the first time, and is at 2,055,000. Protective Services is at 544,000, and our General Government Services at 752,000. Going into each of our service area a bit further, we start with our General Government Services. So again, these services equate to 12.3% of our budget, and it includes legislative, admin staff, and office, our legal expenditures, audit fees, grants, liability insurance, assessment services, and taxation. Reason for the jump this year is because we reclassified the Economic Development Services Officer to an executive assistant and have a consultant doing economic development services in 2024. On the bottom left, you'll see what an assessed property valued at $100,000 would pay towards this service. So important to note, residential services or properties are assessed at 45%, agricultural at 26%, commercial at 65%, and then you see how much based on 100% total assessed value there. Protective services is roughly 8.9% of our budget. This area includes policing services, fire protection services, EMO services, building inspection, and animal control. Our largest impact, once again this year, is our policing cost, and it is up over $40,000 from last year's budgeted. Our transportation is our largest budgeted service area and is at 33.7%. And this area is up over $240,000 from last year. And as previously mentioned, it's eclipsing the 2 million mark for the very first time. This service area includes staff, vehicles, graders and equipment, repairs and maintenance, workshops, fuel, road construction, gravel, street repairs, road patching, sidewalks, street lighting, handyman services, culverts, and snow removal. Some of the items to note for the municipality is that we included $150,000 in shale, which will be placed in the stockpile location north of town, and it is going to be funded via our EMO claim this year. When breaking down the rural versus urban transportation budget, the rural transportation budget is roughly 1.5 million versus the town, which is at only 550,000. To say we are not giving rural any focus is simply not true, as a large portion of what seems like every meeting is discussing our rural roads and making improvements and tweaks. As a reminder, we continue to pull shoulders and put crown on our roads, doing roughly 40 miles over the last 7 years. And in town, a small highlight is that we are continuing our much needed improvements to our downtown sidewalks by removing tripping hazards and accessibility issues in the downtown area. The next service area is our environmental health services, and it is 3.1% of our budget. It is at 186,000, up about 1,000 from last year. This area includes garbage collection services, our landfill, our municipal wells, and recycling services. This year we have added the Connex fob system to our municipal wells as a means to cover costs for the service. The service used to be covered by users, but the ball was dropped as the honor system was not a reliable system in the past. Having this Connex system allows us to monitor and track usage unlike ever before. Significant changes to the MMSM program are proposed by the province, in which significantly affect us, as this program provides the majority of our funding to our excellent volunteer-run recycling program. So planning and discussions are underway as the program is changing in a year and a half's time from now. Next is our public health and welfare services. and it's at 0.4% of our budget. It's down roughly 4,000 and is at 24,000 this year. It includes our cemetery services and social assistance. Future planning will be taking place by the cemetery board in regard to expanding the cemetery to the south, as we are nearing capacity at the current location. Environmental development services is at 1.1% of our budget and is up 6,000 from last year. This area includes our trailer court, general land assembly, Dutch elm, and tree pruning and maintenance program. As already mentioned, we have significant capital investments taking place in our trailer court, but ongoing maintenance costs and rental rates will be reviewed and adjusted accordingly. Our economic development services is 4.3% of our budget, and it is down roughly 40,000 from last year. And it is mostly due to the shifting of the staff position to general government services. Economic development services includes consulting, building incentive program, marketing and branding, beautification, community events, town and sign and billboard, veterinarian services, rural weed control, water resources, and conservation. This year we have hired Lori Matheson as our economic development services consultant to assist the municipality with progressing and advancing our housing needs, commercial needs, and some other important economic development priorities. Recreation and cultural services is 7.7% of our budget, and this area is down over 40,000 from last year. Recreation and cultural services includes the Parks and Recreation Board, the Civic Center, the parks and playgrounds, the arena, the pool, the campground, the library, the Legion Hall, our museums, and our cultural arts. This summer there's a lot of excitement in our community as we have a new pool with some awesome new features. So far this year we have been receiving raving and positive feedback about how awesome this facility is. Please check out our website for public swim hours and also stay tuned for a grand opening of the new pool, which is scheduled for July 4th, as we have exciting things happening on that day. Fiscal services includes our capital expenditures, reserve transfers, and debenture debt charges. It is 17.4% of our budget and is up about 500,000 from 2023. In 2024, the capital expenditures and debenture debt charges are primarily due to our utility projects, and a listing is provided later on. Our proposed capital items for 2024 include our rural roads is at 833,000. This includes shale in the amount of 150,000. Urban roads and sidewalks, 162,000. We are anticipating a much larger allocation to paving in town in 2025. The trailer park expansion and improvements at 230,000. Land acquisition for future development and growth, 234,000. Updating our zoning bylaw is at 27,000. A truck acquisition is at 72,000. And to note, we still continue the hand-me-down program. Building machinery and equipment upgrades at 50,000. Seasonal upgrades at 24,000. And then we have the campground and pool improvements at 17,000. And then on our utility side, we have our lagoon detailed design with a total cost of 330,000. Again, a full update will be provided pending a funding announcement relating to our lagoon. We are also undergoing a water plant and treated reservoir pre-design study. This study, total cost is 40,000. Then next we have the Boissevain Reservoir aeration upgrade, and it is estimated at 100,000. And this project is cost shared with Manitoba Water Services. A key piece to our water system is that we always maintain a water main loop. This year we are extending our water main line so that the hospital and that area has a loop as it did not in the past. This project is estimated at $65,000. Then we have this storm sewer drainage project in the northeast corner of town at $55,000, and then the water plant upgrade of our filter to media, and this will cost $52,000. Our reserves account for 11.1% of our budget, includes our general reserve, the Canada Building Fund reserve, and our utility reserve. The Canada Building Fund reserve allocation amount, which is the funding amount from the feds, is at $138,000, and for our general reserve, we have allocated $354,000. Our utility reserve, we are putting $7,500 this year, but we are withdrawing $185,000 for the detailed design of the lagoon and the water plant and treated reservoir pre-design study projects. Our 2024 general reserve does not have anything earmarked, as this is to replenish or build back up our general reserves. And for our Canada Building Fund, our project is our water main line expansion for the hospital loop and completing the northeast town storm sewer drainage upgrade. Historically, our municipality has had zero to little monies in our reserves. Over the past 5 or so years, we have made significant efforts to rectify this and also build up reserves. With such success, we were able to fully fund the pool project without having to borrow any money. Great news for a small rural municipality. In saying that, our reserves prior to 2020 used to be well below $400,000 and have risen up to $1.5 million in 2022. But with the completion of the pool projects, our reserves at the end of 2023 were at $837,000. And if we do not do anything drastic or have anything unforeseen come up, the plan is to get a reserve bank balance over $1 million by year's end in 2024. For our debentures, this year is going up to $407,000 from $198,000, and that is because we have activated the lagoon borrowing bylaw. Because if we had not done this at this time, the single mill rate would have been even more confusing than it already is. And then we would have been forced to do special service levy this year, plus again next year to correct that. The first scheduled debenture to expire from our debenture listing is our urban landfill and rural landfill debentures, and they mature in the year 2031. They have annual payments of $37,000 and $22,000. The next debenture maturities are residential development phase 2, maturing in 2032 and has an annual payment of $58,000. Next debenture that is maturing after that is the recycling center debenture, and that is maturing in 2036, annual payment of $36,000. And then the residential development with an annual payment of $43,000, and it is also maturing in the year 2036. So when we look at our debenture debt balance, at the end of year 2022, we had a balance of $1.77 million in debenture debt. 2023, it reduced by $155,000, and now with our payments in 2024, we are further reducing our general operating fund by another $134,000. As you can see in our utility fund, balance is now at $2.46 million as we have the first phase of the lagoon added. Total borrowing as of December 31st, 2024, balance is $3.941 million. New this year, I've included our borrowing capacity, as currently we have roughly just over 12 million in available to use in borrowing capacity. Our borrowing capacity is based on 7% of our total assessment. So in 2024, the total borrowing limit is just over 16 million. With our 3.9 million already used, equals 24.2% of our capacity. For our special services, we had the public hearing a few weeks ago relating to Special Services Bylaw 2024-03. This bylaw included 3 components: the protection services on all residential, commercial, and institutional properties in the entire municipality, and it was at 50% cost on assessment and 50% based on per parcel. The second component is the waste pickup services, and it is for the town only at 100% per parcel, and so it'll be at $75 per property. And then the third component is transportation for the town, and this is based on 100% on cost on assessment and is our catch-all to mitigate the single mill rate tax shift from urban to rural. This year we're also paying levies in the amount of $15,000 towards the Souris River Watershed District and $7,800 into the Pembina Valley Watershed District. Before we get into our tax impact for the year 2024, I wanted to provide an update on our utility budget. First, we have some important items, utility items to note. As previously mentioned, our main priority this year is the lagoon. We are knee-deep in the design of the lagoon, but as previously mentioned, a full update will be provided after a pending funding announcement has been made. In the diagrams, you can piece a bit of it together of what we are planning. Next is the water plant and treated reservoir pre-design study. As we lost capacity in 2009 relating to the treated storage water towers, this capacity was never replaced. So we are doing a study to determine how much is needed and also an outlook in relation to our water plant overall. Next, we are updating the Boissevain reservoir aeration, and we are also updating the hospital loop with water main line expansion. And then also, as discussed, was the storm sewer drainage project. And finally, the water plant upgrade, the filter to media. In 2024, total utility budget is at $1.327 million, up close to $500,000 over last year. The consumption breakdown of our revenue is at $497,000 from residential use, $135,000 from industrial use, and $22,500 from commercial and bulk water sales. The reason for such a huge jump in our budget is because we have received $235,000 in provincial grants for our projects. We have the lagoon debenture and are also transferring $185,000 from our utility reserve. The rate rider is ending in 2024, but because we had a small audited deficit for our utility in 2022, there will most likely be a new rate rider. We anticipate that with the new lagoon, that an overall rate increase will be in the 25% range due to maintenance upgrades and cost. For our utility expenditures, the total water supply costs are projected at $484,000 this year. Sewage collection cost at $90,000. Debenture debt charges at $208,000, $330,000 towards the lagoon detail design, and as I previously discussed, some of the capital and maintenance upgrades, along with the small utility reserve allocation. Altogether, our total is at $1.327 million for our total expenditures. Along with the anticipated increase in lagoon maintenance costs, consistently having to update capital and maintenance upgrades, and with the ultimate goal to have roughly 100,000 plus allocation towards utility reserves. A utility rate study again is once again on the horizon, and thus a significant rate increase will be needed. And as mentioned, we're anticipating roughly a 25% increase. And compared to how we are regionally, we are one of the lowest water rates in our region. Tax impact. Finally, I'll conclude the presentation by going through 4 examples of the tax impact in 2024. First is a urban residential property assessed at $200,000. Last year, the municipal portion of their taxes for this property was at $2,529 in 2023, and factoring the special services levies impact, the municipal portion will decrease to $2,373, a decrease of $155. New this year, the school tax rebate will be applied directly to your tax bill, so an additional $280 will be decreased on your property tax notice. Let's look at the example beneath it. We have a rural residential property assessed at $300,000. Last year, municipal taxes for this property was $1,920. In 2024, the municipal portion factored in with the special service levy impact, this property will increase to $2,244. Total increase of $324. Now, factoring in the school tax rebate onto the property tax notice, and overall this property will be seeing a $183 total tax notice decrease from the previous year. If you look at the urban commercial property that's assessed at $100,000, in 23 the municipal tax portion was $1,910. In 2024, municipal tax portion will end up having a marginal decrease to $1,826. This is a decrease of roughly $84. Add in the school taxes, and the total change of the tax bill will decrease by $320. And in the final example, we have a farm property assessed at $400,000. Here in 2023, the municipal portion of the taxes for this property was at $1,692. And now in 2024, the municipal portion will increase to $1,729, an increase of $36. Factor in the school tax change, and this property tax total tax bill will go down $649 to $2,309. So thank you for listening to our proposed financial presentation.
Okay, thank you, Leo. Well done. It makes it, it's good to have the presentation both in your hand and on there. You can follow along with. Thank you. Were there any registered questions and comments?
Nope.
Any comments from the council? Do you have any questions or comments that you'd like to make? Not at this time? All right, so we'll give everyone a final opportunity for any new comments before I close the hearing. Yes.
Well, I have a number of comments, and I guess I should point out that Mr. Poulin's remarks as to our concerns about the roads in the rural area is a bit of a slap in the face, because if there is no way we can get our produce out and get our inputs in, we're in bad shape. Nothing else matters. Roads are number one. Now, you can brag about dragging up sod onto the road, doing 5.5 miles a year, so out of roughly 260 miles, it'll only take 25 years to improve all these roads. And the gravel budget for last year, well, it says material and gravel, was underspent by about $48,000. So where does that money go? And I would, and I think everyone would agree with me, that the taxes could be increased in the rural area if that was to go to better developed roads and putting gravel on the roads. I think it's absolutely despicable that some people the bus can't come in on their road to pick their children up to take them to school. That's a shame. And, you know, I wish I'd had a copy of what you provided here today, because I'm having trouble reconciling that with the copy that I had picked up previously of the budget. Here's what's confusing to me. You know, you have paving and gravel, $693,000. Road repairs minor, $8,500. Road construction and repairs, $150,000. Road patching, $130,000. Other road costs, $78,28. Why all these superfluous figures here that instead of one figure for rural roads? When you say paving and gravel, well, how much of that is paving and how much is gravel? But it's very, very disturbing, and I would be surprised if you could find anyone in the rural area who agrees that the roads are in better shape now than they were 7 or 8 years ago. It is absolutely impossible to build a surface on a road out of sod, and that's what is being done. And after the rain, after the little bit of building that was done out our way, at the end of the road where it goes on to number 3 highway, it was just a soupy mess of sod. So, you know, we in the rural area are not happy, and we need to have more money spent on roads, spent in a manner that will be beneficial and lasting. And I would suggest that gravel costs are not going to go down, they're going to go up. And I know it's difficult to find good gravel, but it won't be any easier next year or the year after. So I'm suggesting maybe the municipality now could do what Morton did several years ago. They had a $740,000 debenture so that the town of Boissevain could have gas. That was Morton's debenture. And there were maybe a dozen people in Morton that had accessibility to the gas. So that was a huge bill that the rural area paid for the town of Boissevain to have gas. And now might be a good time to issue another debenture and get our roads in good shape. I would hope that council would give strong consideration to that. And I would be very disappointed if we don't see more money being spent than is being spent, because 5.5 miles a year, and I don't know how many miles are being gravelled. Do you know offhand?
We have roughly about a third of the roads.
A third?
Yeah, we will be putting our gravel map on our website at some point this year, and that'll be moving forward a new thing so that ratepayers do have an opportunity to see what has been done in the past and also what we'll be doing this year. I would like to also comment in regards to, you had mentioned about based on the rate of road building, and mentioned that it would take 25 years. You know, prior to that, 10 years ago, and even further beyond that, the exact ratio that was 1 mile, roughly about 1 mile per year. And so that would have taken 265 years. So there has been significant progress made towards our roads. Also to add, 7 to 10 years ago, we used to put about 125 yards per mile. And prior to that, 10 to 20 years before that, 80 yards per mile. We now put 160 $160 per mile, and then on the priority, we double that. We know that it's still not enough, but point noted in regards to gravel, because we know that that's the biggest issue, especially when you rebuild the roads. You need to have a lot of gravel on the road, otherwise, what is the point? And that's a struggle that clearly has been in this municipality, not just today, but I would say for the last 40, 50 years.
Gravel has always been an issue, and to get, in today's world, to get good gravel, we can get gravel, but we can't get good gravel, so you're putting on sand, basically,
Which is a waste,
pardon me,
which is a total waste.
which is a waste.
So why are we doing it?
We hadn't anything else. We now
Well, there's no
have,
sense of putting it on because it's worthless.
okay,
Like last October, we went into a wet fall, and the roads going in to freeze up were basically destroyed. All the roads. And now this spring's been terribly wet, and all the roads are completely wrecked now. So it's a major problem to get the roads back into shape. And trucking in gravel that's useless is a total waste of time. Like, it doesn't show up anywhere.
so what would you suggest, Elmer? I'm just
Well,
curious.
we gotta find good gravel and start bringing it in and
Do
making
you
use
know
of it.
where we can get some good gravel? Because if you do know where.
Well, we used to have committees that actually look for gravel, but
We
apparently
do.
we don't do that
No,
anymore.
we do. We've done some testing. We have a committee.
Where
set
did we
up.
test? In this municipality?
Yeah,
Well, we've tested this municipality so many times, I don't know where you would test to find any
Exactly.
good gravel, because there isn't any.
so
We've
now
already
we've
proved
had
that.
to go outside of this municipality.
Definitely.
We went
So-
to Brandon and
we
it
went
was
to Brandon.
crap.
And Brandon's.
I don't think the gravel from Brandon was crap. The
Yeah.
trouble with that was he wasn't crushing it right. The gravel wasn't the problem. His crusher seemed to have a hole in it, and it was bringing in stones that were 3 or 4 inches in diameter. that
We
should
are
have been
now
crushed.
getting it from 2 different pits. So it's better quality, but it's costing more because the minute that you're transporting it, you know, like
Well,
it's
well,
a
what choice
win.
we got? We don't have it in
We
this stock,
don't
so
have
we're
a
gonna have
choice.
to transport it.
That's
what we're
exactly
doing.
what we
That's what
said.
we're doing.
We've sat at this table, we've talked about that, Elmer, this is not new. We've looked and looked and looked for good gravel. We've had John go out, we've researched it, we've even researched things that you can use other than gravel. There's a new product out now, because this is not gonna get any easier. And you can talk to any other municipality that doesn't have the gravel sitting right there. They're in exactly the same boat. The problem is, to get the roads back to where they should be, we should be putting at least 300 yards on those roads. Well, do you know what that's gonna cost to do that?
Well,
Like-
you know what it's gonna cost when we can't get the town?
Well, that's why we have to make the roads, which is what we've done. We have to prioritize some roads. And every time we do that, everybody gets upset because there's some roads that aren't a priority. Those priority roads, in my mind and in our mind as council, needed to be the ones that we put extra gravel. But until we can find really good gravel, we can get good gravel across the line, but we can't get it over here, right?
I think we know that.
So,
We experienced that years ago.
you did, and so we're
Yes.
running into the same thing, you know, this isn't new, right? You guys probably dealt with it, I'm sure you dealt with it, I know Elmer, we dealt with it on council. This is not new. Every council has had to deal with where do you get the gravel for the rural roads. And we agree,
In this budget, we can't tell how much you're actually getting gravel. Transportation doesn't break it down to show how much dollars that our end is actually spending on gravel.
well, we can do that, if that's what you'd like to see, we can certainly have that broke down for you.
Well, I'd like to point out to Mr. Poulin that I was talking about roads today, not 20 years ago. I'm not denying that more should have been done before. I'm saying do something now.
We've
Now
talked,
is the time.
we've talked
We're
about
desperate
debenture.
for roads.
We have talked about a debenture, we have talked about it in great detail, but we need to find the proper gravel. We're not gonna put a debenture on if we don't have good gravel. That would be, like you say, just putting it right back to where we were. Elmer is right, you're right, we have to have the best gravel to put on if you're going to debenture it. If you're gonna put on, every rural farmer is gonna pay, I don't know how much, because gravel is not cheap, then we'll do it. but we gotta find it. So if anybody knows where there's really, really good gravel, or even halfway's good gravel, we would be really pleased to find that out.
Well, I asked for specifications on gravel, and all I got was a percentage this size, a percentage this size, and a percentage this size. Percentage of what? Was that weight or volume? It didn't mean anything.
We go with the same standards as highways.
Highways,
Yeah,
we
but
use the
when-
highway
when-
standards.
When you said a percentage, were you talking about a percentage by weight of that size of material, or a percentage by volume?
It's a,
It's a formula.
Which?
yeah, there's a bit of
Which
a
was it?
formula depending on, I could provide that to you after, Bill, that's fine.
I asked for it last year, sometime getting it.
What I'm interested in, you mentioned that you're putting on 160 yards.
Yeah,
How many yards are your truckers hauling right now, do you know? 22?
That I'd have to double check exactly. 'cause
Okay,
In that neighborhood, yeah.
yeah,
they just finished graveling 3 miles past our place.
right.
That mile from our place up to Michael's. And I know this formula works. 22 yards per truckload, 5 trips does a mile at 125 yards per mile. And that's exactly what I got on my road right now. You just quoted 160, you better be checking your truckers,
Okay,
or something needs to be done.
Well, on average, that's where, we'd have to double check, not every road gets the exact, it's on average 160.
Okay,
but no, it's worth noting, and we'll check, because
Yeah.
we do have people to check.
Yeah.
So
And that's why we're gonna be putting it on the website as well, so that not only would it be for this year, but we're actually starting to track, we're working on it right now over the last handful of years, so if someone comes and says, I've never got gravel ever, or in the last 10, 20 years, well, you'll actually be able to see right on the website, actually in 2022, you received 125 yards.
Okay, I can understand what you're saying, because some roads do need more than others.
Absolutely, and that's
I
what we're,
understand that.
we're
Yeah.
trying to do that.
Like-
And we went by what you guys did too, like, you had priority roads, I'm sure. Like you talked about the main roads, the ones to the elevators, the ones that have the heavy traffic.
That, yes, and that Prairie Grange Road,
Yeah.
that road that comes in from 342 down to Kevin Latimer's, or Latimer Farm,
Right,
and then the mile east, that road needs big attention,
yeah, it does,
big attention.
yeah, it does.
There is a strip of road, basically from Doug Robertson's corner down to the road that takes you to West Brazos. I don't know how in the world, when all this rain was going on, and I mean, we all understand what happens to roads when you've got semis on. They couldn't even get the damn school bus in there. That's how bad that road is. I went over that road coming home one night. I drive a half-ton, and it's a four-wheel drive, and that's how I had to get through it. That's how bad it
No,
is.
and it's not alone, and believe me, we
Oh,
know
there's
that.
other roads that are. being
Exactly,
issued.
I know, and there are other roads like that, and I totally agree with you.
Does this council ever take a drive out on our country roads to see what's going on?
We do.
All the time.
All the time?
My husband drives
Do you
everywhere.
go as a group?
We don't go as a group in the handy van anymore, they're used to do that, but we have gone out as a group. We've gone in 2 different vehicles and gone 2 different directions and did some documentation about what we need to do.
Well, that's.
We also met with the school bus garage. I went to the school bus garage myself. I talked to all the drivers, and they have met with John. We are going over the school bus routes to make sure that things are, it's a difficult time. Did we
Oh,
do
sure
it
it is.
right? Absolutely no. There's some problems that we absolutely have. But if we're gonna do a debenture, we're gonna have to really seriously look at how much are we willing to put into a debenture, and how much of that is gonna go to gravel, period? And if it does, where are we gonna get the gravel from? And we're not above that. We have talked about it, we have discussed it at great length about maybe we just need to do, like sometimes you do in the lagoon. We're building a lagoon. It's not going on your taxes in the rural, it's going on, we have to do it. We may be in that position right now with your roads. I don't doubt that we are. But when we get there, that is going to be a huge cost that's gonna be added on to the rural taxes. And we hear all the time, the rural taxes are too high. So, I mean, if that's what the majority of people in the rural want, we can do it, and we can truck it from wherever. There's gotta be good gravel in the province somewhere.
Have you considered having it brought in by train, like some municipalities do? Did you get a cost on that?
No, we don't
It
have
might-
the line for
Might
that.
be worth,
We don't have the line for that here. The only way that they
You
bring
don't
gravel, this line here, they're not going to stop and do gravel for us here. Like, we're having enough
They
trouble with
wouldn't
our
do that,
railway
no.
line going through town.
they wouldn't deliver gravel here by train?
Where are you gonna get it from?
Well, where do other municipalities get it from that have it from by train?
I've never heard of any municipality getting it by train in the last 20 years, but I could be wrong.
While I'm at it, I got another bugaboo.
Okay, it's a bugaboo night, go ahead.
Your grading system.
Yes,
You stand one grader behind the other, right?
that's how John does it, yeah. Usually, sometimes, not always, depending on the time
The
of year.
roads change, yeah, every road has a different,
Most of the time, I see one grader behind the other. Why?
I don't know, but interestingly enough, we're having the people that do the grading and, teach grading, and that do from the good roads, they're coming actually here. And they're coming to our council, and they're gonna talk to us about how to build a road, how to do a road, how to maintain a road, and then we will have a lot more knowledge than what we had before, right?
I've heard that whole story.
But you
When will that-
know what they're gonna say. They're gonna say, you take one grader after the other. That's what they're going to say,
When is this going to happen?
in August.
in August.
In August, okay, because the way the roads are being graded, and
It's
I
funny
had
though.
hoped to leave this until another meeting, because we're getting off the.
Yeah, we are getting, this is a financial plan. This
aspect
is,
of it. So
Well, I think I can save you some money.
well, good. We're on it.
I'm all ears.
We're all ears, man.
I have watched what your graders do when they go out past our place.
Right?
They go to the far end of the Ortiz Road, and that's 4 miles straight west of our place. So they've got the road graded, they've got the row up in the middle, and then they've moved it over already.
Right.
So they go to the far end, and there's a dead end. So now they gotta boogie back and find another road to grade.
Yeah, point taken.
And I watched them, not this summer, but a year ago, and it happened by accident. I was eating my dinner, and they went by our place about 10 o'clock. And I know they went to the dead end, and they graded all those roads in between. And the next thing I know, I see 2 graders going down 448, all the way over to Pete Penner's. Now that's probably a 15-minute drive, doing nothing. But 2 graders in road gear burning fuel, and your men are not doing anything. This municipality a few years ago did the same experiment. We tried running 2 graders behind each other. And one of the reasons was we had people complaining that we were leaving the stock roll in the middle of the road all day,
Right,
and they had to contend with it.
right.
Maybe in the spring, maybe in the fall and harvest, but at this time of the year, who is running big machinery over the road? What we proved was, and we quit doing it for the simple reason that we were losing a third of our time, because the old way, we sent the grader to the far end and then he graded back. He was working all the time, burning the same fuel. The other grader was on the east side doing the same thing. You're running, I'm saying that you're losing a third of your grading time by doing what you're doing, following with 2 graders. It's been proven, we've proved it already. We quit doing it. We asked our foreman to keep track of the hours that he would spend on one machine out and back on the same road. Now, and then we said, okay, now we got two graders doing the same thing. They got a boogie to come back to find another road, and they're not doing anything, wasting time, burning fuel.
No, point taken.
So you mentioned though that you just saw that one time. So I don't know if that was a one-off or what, but
I
I would
don't-
have to look into that.
But we can certainly talk to
Yeah.
our foreman about it.
Yeah.
I don't-
We're open to that.
You have to do different things to find out
Mm-hmm.
what proves the best for you.
Yeah,
Yep,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
We know that. But take a look at it.
Yeah.
Get somebody to keep track of what they're doing,
Yeah,
so that you have something that can say, this isn't working, we gotta change. I don't, it just burns me to see a grader running empty, when we know that he's gonna dead end somewhere, and then he's gotta come back empty to find more work.
no, point taken, and we will certainly talk to
May I make a-
John about it.
One
I guess, I don't know, I guess the foreman and Leo went out with you, Mr. Ransom,
Yes.
and they spent some time with you and listened to your concerns. It was brought back, if you have any different concerns other than what was brought to Leo, because Leo brought back the concerns, but he also said that you agreed to a lot of the things that we were doing.
That's right. We're not trying to criticize people. We're trying,
Really?
you think that's funny?
I think I'm not saying that it's
Okay.
funny, I just haven't heard one positive thing in this room today, that's all. You know,
Well,
it's, I agree
difficult
that the
to
roads
find.
are not in a good position. I totally agree, we all agree, we've been there, we've talked about it. You spent how many hours with our foreman and Leo? I thought that that would suffice to have your input into what we're doing.
Not quite, Judy, if I may, just
Go ahead.
correct the situation. I suggested to John and Leo that you couldn't properly grade and maintain the gravel on the road with 2 passes. You need 3. And John said that I would have to go to council, and council would have to, okay, 3 passes. Is that not correct,
You
Leo?
did mention that, yeah.
Now,
So the former Reeve, would you go 3 passes? As a
we-
former Reeve, would you put 3 passes on?
I
the
wasn't
road?
a former Reeve.
No, I'm asking Mr. McCollum.
Oh, there was, at one
Let's
time,
Uh,
not talk about what was done before.
No, I'm-
We're trying to improve the situation
Okay.
now. And I would like to come to a council meeting and explain the view of many of us as to why we need 3 passes rather than 2. I don't want to go into detail, we've got enough other things to discuss tonight. But I would like to do that.
Make an
And I think I
appointment.
can show you how you can make better use of maintaining the gravel that is there or is going to be put on. But it does need 3 passes to do it.
Okay. Point taken. I asked the former Reeve,
Yeah.
did you?
there was at one point, we did do some roads with 3 passes already.
There is some roads that are wider that could.
The wider
Most of our
roads, I
are too
can
narrow.
see that,
Yeah.
I don't
right?
think we can even meet somebody in most of our roads anymore, we have to get in the grass to meet them.
Okay, is there any other questions regarding the budget except for the roads? I mean,
Yes, I'd like to know the total assessed value of the rural and the urban area in Boissevain-Morton.
okay. Problem
Yeah,
is,
but-
we're all under one now, right? He,
Yeah,
just
but
give
you know
him,
that- you
give
know
him a
what the
minute,
split is,
he
so
can,
I
he'll
wanna know
figure
the
it.
split.
Yeah, well, give me a second, Rick. You can, maybe ask for other
Any
questions
other
in the
questions
interim.
like, in the interim? Do you have anything else, Eleanor?
Well, once you find that, then I want to know the split on the total taxable assessed value on the.
I'd like, yeah, while I was looking that up, I'd like to make a comment on the pulling of shoulders. And in the fall of, I think it was 21, I'm not even totally sure of the year anymore, but when we first tried the shoulder pull, and it was on the old number 3, and we did that in October, and the next day it poured rain. It was the worst nightmare we'd ever seen. And it was the stupidest thing we'd ever seen, that we pulled those shoulders and put that material in the middle of the road. But that is one of the best roads we have right now, because that material is still there, and it's crowned, and we've gravelled it well, and that part of the old number 3 has stood up like you wouldn't believe.
And hopefully, George, they'll make 3 passes and keep the gravel on the road instead of pushing it off over the shoulder.
I don't disagree with you that more and better maintenance couldn't be done, but the shoulder pull is our best option for bang for our buck. We cannot afford to pull scrapers and cats out there to find clay, and we can't afford that. It'll cost you $400,000 a mile.
We're gonna have to do that
Or
eventually.
whatever.
Our roads are disappearing.
They're
They're
not
sinking.
disappearing when we pull our shoulders.
No.
Go down the old number 3.
The roads,
I'll take you there.
Peel the
I'll take you
sod
there.
back, put the sod back into the ditch, and then bring good solid
I think we should
material
walk
up.
straight
Then
across.
respread the sod.
And that's fine, you'll have a little narrower road, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm saying it works, and it does. And your road will be better soon too, but right now it's a mess because it's not packed and that material hasn't hard surfaced itself.
I have another question.
Did
Do
you,
the
Yeah.
councilors all
We just-
have a copy of the municipal act?
we have access to the municipal act, it's online, we can pull it off at any given time. We have lawyers, we have people that deal with it. We
Okay, Why do
absolutely,
you make loans?
we have access,
Why
we
do you make
do know what
loans
the
and
municipal
write them
act is.
off and no bylaw? In fact, on the 18th of August in 2022, there was a motion made by David Stead and Rhonda about a $140,000 loan, promissory note, be forgiven. Now, this was after a meeting in the civic center, the community center, when we were told that the municipality would not be making a contribution to the seniors' new facility there. And yet, there was $140,000 that was given off. If you're gonna make a loan like that, according to the municipal act, and that happens to be section 181, where a municipality can make a loan. Now, there was no bylaw authorizing that, and there was no vote
Did
on
you-
that particular meeting to indicate whether the motion was carried or not.
It was hard.
But there was $140,000 given to Southwest Seniors Housing, and the municipal act was not followed. And this is why many of us are very concerned. So many things are not done according to the municipal act. And there's a whole,
That's just,
laugh if you like, Mr. Poulin.
You're living in the past again. You just mentioned about not living in the past
you,
with the roads, but now you're gonna go with
The
there.
2023 municipal act isn't right?
The 2022, that was under the former administration. The purchase of the land was under
the
former
former,
administration and Ed Anderson as mayor.
there was a.
They just purchased land. There was no loan ever set up there. It was purchasing land for healthcare
Well,
services.
Why would there be a promissory note if there was no loan?
Because of the motion, the first motion that was read, and that, I was on council, but I certainly wasn't mayor, it was Mayor Ed. The land was purchased for the purpose of senior housing. And it's right in the motion, I can get you the motion.
You never know that from the
That
minutes.
isn't quite true.
I have the motion here, I just left it at
That
home.
land was purchased in order to keep it set aside so it could be utilized for that facility.
That's right,
It was being held by council for that project to take it over at such time.
and they did.
Yeah, no, they didn't, you
But
gave
we
it to
were
them.
told there wouldn't be a contribution from the council. And there was $140,000
And that was one-
contribution.
That was one thing I was scared of when
Okay.
when they were collecting money for the
I don't know
facility.
what to do with it.
I was scared that council would come up with something like that and throw that into the project when they promised there'd be no municipal money put into the project. So council totally reneged on that and threw the money in the pot.
Boy, that was a really bad idea, wasn't it?
No, the idea was perfect. But taking the money and doing something that you promise you aren't gonna do, and then do it, you may as well be Trudeau. He
There
does
was two
anything he feels
different
like.
councils that did this. So, I mean, if you think that what we did is totally wrong, I'm sorry that you think that what we did. I will stand behind seniors' housing in this community. I will, because what we did as a council and what this community did was allow us to have one of the best facilities in this area, and the first facility of its kind in this area. If a municipality wouldn't put $130,000 into something like that,
It's actually
it's
140.
disgusting. We of course should be doing that.
Why
We
didn't
should
you
be,
tell us
we
they
should be
wouldn't?
supporting that. It was two different councils that did it. One council did the buying of the property, the other council said, we don't want the money back.
Yeah, the one did it before we got forced into one at large and one before. That's what happened.
Can I help that? No. I mean, we're at large because we're at large. We are a municipal government that is one government. It's amalgamated by law. We can't
It
force
is,
that.
but the Forced Amalgamation Act indicates that it's not to cause a tax shift. But the tax shift is very, very obvious that's going on continually.
Well, Well, the tax shift, when we took over here, as, you saw it, Elmer, we were in the hole. You were on council. We owed
was in the hole?
millions. There was millions of dollars that were in a deficit position. So I don't think that this council has done anything but help maintain and bring us back out of there. And move ahead, move this community ahead. Have we done everything right? Absolutely not. If you wanna sit and you wanna pick and you wanna find something wrong, you're absolutely gonna find something wrong. Do you think any one of this council are professional people that have all the background that we need to do what we need to do? We do the best we can. If it's not right, if it's not perfect in your mind, I apologize. It's not intentional, and it's certainly done with the best interest of this municipality. There's not one thing that we've done, and as far as supporting senior housing, who would not support that? Look at the jobs it's brought here. Look at the people that have lived in this community that didn't have to move away from this community.
I'm not denying that the project was a good project, but I'm just saying, council said right up front,
Process.
they would not put money into the project, and then they turn around and put it in. So how can you believe council? Next fundraising project is gonna come around and we say, well, council's not putting any money in. So they do all the fundraising, and in the end, council throws money in. Where's the truth in that kind of stuff?
And when I send a letter to the head of council dated April 30th, and I don't get a reply at all, why do you think we're maybe just a little unhappy about that?
This is a public meeting regarding a financial statement.
That's right.
If you
and
have an
these
issue
were
with
financial
me,
questions.
you and I can discuss it, if you have an issue with me personally.
I want a written reply
We
to
have
my
that,
letter.
we have that letter is on this next meeting,
Good,
and you will get a written reply.
good, thank you.
Anything else? Yes,
I'll talk roads too,
okay,
urban.
yep. I agree, we need to do way more in the
I'm
urban,
speaking, thank you.
sorry.
23 budget for road patching, 114.5. Spent, 43. That make sense?
Yep, keep going.
It does?
Yep, it does.
Okay. 130 budgeted for 24.
Right?
309,000 for 25.
Yep. Do you want me to explain it, or are you finished?
I'd like to explain why you didn't use last year's. It's not because we didn't have the place for the
No.
patches.
You have to bring a crew in to do patching, and you have to get the availability of the crew to do it. And you know what, they're everywhere needing, and we couldn't get one in last year. So what we did is the guys did the best they can with the cold mix, but we have to bring a crew in to do the better patching. So no, we didn't spend the budget, we should have, we wanted to, but you have to get them to come. They're not gonna come for a little wee piece, we have to, that's why next year, we're budgeting for a whole lot more, because we will bring them in and we will do a whole lot more at one
Why
time.
didn't you bring it in?
They wouldn't come,
They weren't built.
they weren't available.
Because we're
So
just
what makes you think you're gonna get 309,000 worth?
Because they will
25.
come for 309,000, they won't come for 20,000, there's the difference.
How about the 130 for this year?
It's availability. There are only a very few crews that will do this, and if they're not available, I can't force them to come here.
Yeah. Same problem as the rural people, right, with their roads. You can't do anything about it.
Well, we are. We will bring them in when we have enough for them to come in.
Listen, we'll see.
Okay,
I told George that last year, I had a really nice pothole,
Which you still have.
yeah,
no, it's bigger.
George didn't give a rat's ass.
Oh, that's
You
not
don't know
fair.
that.
That's not,
Yes,
Don't,
I do.
don't tell me what you think I think.
Oh.
Don't say that.
But,
okay, you know,
Just what-
I agree
okay.
that, I think that's unfair to George.
my
Uh,
apologies,
Totally
George.
Thank
I
you.
just don't think that's.
I accept your apology, but don't, be careful.
So one thing I find really hard to believe is you can't go talk to a counselor to get a problem fixed. You have to send in a special request.
You can talk to any one of our counselors.
No, they won't do anything. They tell you you have to get a special request. You can't do it unless you get a special request.
If you're
So I-
asking for something specific,
I
we
I
have
had
to
a
go
ratepayer say that he asked a counselor about putting a culvert in. And he said, no, well, you have to go online and send a special request to get that done. You can't take that information to council and discuss it unless we get a special request. And he said, well, show me how to do it.
That's
So
here.
the counselor took the phone from him and tried to show him how to do it on the phone, and he couldn't do it. And he said, I haven't heard from that counselor for 2 years. He said, that was 2 years ago, and I never heard from him again.
Explain the
So that's how good your special request BS works.
Works for a lot of people, but maybe it didn't work for that person. I don't know who you're talking about, it's hearsay. Have that person contact me. I don't know.
Or us, anyone else?
My last question is about the pool.
Yes,
You'll be glad to hear it's my last question.
whatever, I'm here for the evening.
Okay, in 2022, the pool operating cost was $62,700. In 2023, the budgeted cost was $71,000, but an actual cost of $60,000. This is when the pool wasn't operating. So how do you have an operating cost of $60,000?
We still had staff, we had to promise staff to ensure that we had staff. You can see right now that having lifeguards is an issue everywhere. And so to commit with staff, because if it was only gonna be a part of a year, we had said we would start the whole summer, right from the get-go, and we would provide you other work. And so that's where a lot of that cost is coming from.
So you hired staff when you didn't need them.
We had them do other things, but they were under the pool.
The plan was to open, but
Okay.
the health inspector put a kibosh because of a tiny little slide and weight limit on it. And the health inspector held us up, so our staff were unable to actually do their job.
But they did
So we did have them do other.
Yeah, they were working, just
Yeah,
not
okay,
there.
that's fine. It seemed strange that the operating cost was the same whether the pool was operating or not.
Yep. Yes,
What about the lagoon? What's happening with our lagoon situation?
yeah.
I know it's a bugbear for everybody, you people and the ratepayers.
We
Is
just,
it, do I understand from reading in your minutes back a while ago that there is an outfit that can refurbish the existing?
and that's what we're doing.
Good for you.
Thank you. We looked at all different things, and we have a cost on a new one. And I said to the engineers, we sat on the phone with them, and I said, it can't happen. We can't do that. So let's redo this, let's look at. So we will be doing a refurbished or a lagoon in the same location, but it's subject to funding.
Well, I think we all understand that, but,
I
I know
can't
that-
announce it, we can't announce it is what I'm saying, right?
yeah, okay, but the people, there's people seem to think that some of us should know what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know
I would
what's
too.
going on unless somebody tells me.
I don't either,
And,
until we do.
and I hear people say, well, what's going on with their lagoon?
Mhm.
The last I heard was that it was supposed to go up to the old landfills, to the new landfill site.
Yeah,
And
and,
some of you people know that I complain pretty loudly about that situation. That's history, we'll leave it be.
yep, we're redoing the one
And
we
if
have.
you can refurbish the old one, that's the best news that Boissevain have had for a long time.
It was a
And
scrap with engineers, is what it was.
It,
Well, I understand that there's costs involved, it doesn't matter
Oh.
what you do. We understand that.
yeah,
But to think that we were gonna go way up to that doesn't
we will be having,
require discussing now.
an open house, and I hope you come, when we are able to put it all out and say, this is, but I can say that the site is where we were before.
Good.
We're
Where we are
right
now.
back to where we
Yeah.
were
It's a
before.
Sager system,
It's
and it's an
I think
aerated.
It's
I
an
think time-
aerated Sager system, so it's a different system. You won't have the smell that you had before, you won't, it's a system that needs to, but we can put it back in a smaller place because we're putting the Sager system in it.
Well, I researched your company.
Yeah,
So I know something about them, if that's the company you're going to hire.
yeah,
So-
Sager, yep,
I know that there's new technology out there that can be used to make things better from the old way it used to be.
agreed.
And so it's good news to hear that
Yeah.
we're gonna use that technology.
When we found out about that technology, it changes the way we look at things, right? We only can do what we know, and
I
so
understand.
when we actually, we did a lot of research on it, we've done a lot of talking to other municipalities that have the same system, so we're very comfortable about putting that Sager
At
system
one
in.
point, I think I suggested that we have a company in Boissevain here that look after a lot of hog lagoons and so on, and that he pumps that
Yeah.
kind of material, and
Yeah,
she'd be able to handle it, and I understood that, having talked to the owner at that time, that he had been approached about trying to do something.
yeah, yeah, no, we're working with a new engineer now, and we're working with our local contractors, because once again, as long as we can try to keep local, we're gonna keep our costs down as well. It has just been a road, it's been an interesting time trying to figure that, but I was
Sure.
very pleased to be able to say, we've cut the cost in half as to what it was gonna be before, and we're putting it back to where it was.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any time
Yes,
ideas, like?
For the lagoon?
For the
Yeah,
lagoon?
10 years down the
No,
road?
no, no, no.
or-
We will provide that update at that open house. We can't, I'd love to provide more details, but unfortunately.
Now, will this be in the local paper in bold print so that we can all notice, yes, this is when the
Yes.
meeting is?
yes, we'll put it out,
Yeah, we'll certainly do that. 'cause,
and we're
yeah,
hoping to have it as soon as we can, but we can't have a public meeting, we can't announce anything without the provincial government saying
I
that we can
understand.
announce it, right? So
Yeah.
we're once again waiting, there was a by-election, so we couldn't announce anything through the by-election. Now, we're waiting to hear from them. So I would say anytime soon, we should be getting word. Yeah. Any other questions? I don't know if we've answered any of your questions tonight, but we have tried, and we will continue to do the best we can to govern this municipality. As anybody that has been on council knows, it is not an easy job. You please half of the people half of the time. And, we do the best we can to move it forward. I am pleased with the way the municipality is moving forward, and no, we're not gonna please everybody. We are well aware that the rural roads are in big need of some some help. That's why we're having the guy come in August to talk to us about what we should be looking at. We have been searching all over this province and south of the border to look at, can we get some gravel that's decent? So, you know, it's, I agree, Elmer, it's not an easy project, and we all know, anybody that's been there, we know.
So is this guy, is Highways coming out to present this project?
Yeah.
This grading thing?
No, he's gonna come,
Who's doing that?
he's a individual that does training.
He does the Manitoba Good Roads
The Manitoba Good
Association training for graveling and constructing roads.
Because I'm gonna say, if it's coming from the Highways Department, like the 348 is actually destroyed. That road is the worst road going our way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can't drive down that when it rains. I
Well-
call it the river road, because as soon as it rains, it's nothing but water, right from my place to Boissevain.
I hear you.
And it's
And-
full of potholes, like it's absolutely destroyed.
And I think that it would be safe to say that if you talk to other people in our municipality, you would hear the same from different parts of the municipality. I've also talked to a lot of the mayors and reeves of other municipalities, and you know, we're all in the same boat. Everybody, unless you've got a pile of gravel in your municipality, they're all, like there are some municipalities that just every year, they'll just dump 400 yards or 300 yards on any road they need to because they have what they need to have.
Well, if you live closer to Brandon.
If you live closer to Brandon or if you live somewhere close there, you can. Yes,
I live in on the mountainside road.
we hear you. We were down there. Not fun.
Or the Strathallan Road.
Or the Strathallan Road isn't
Or-
good.
It's not
Or the Lake
gravel.
Endless
Road.
other.
Or the Lake
Not
Max
gravel
Road,
every
or,
day.
you know,
Yep, I agree.
Just pounding the hell out of that road.
he said the Strathallan Road.
And this man here is our new neighbor.
Oh,
He's from South Africa,
hi.
and he wonders about that road, why you wouldn't finish it past the dicks.
Pass, oh, down the hill.
Yep,
Yeah.
We temporarily closed that road because at the bottom, it's not stable enough.
What's wrong with it, Judy?
We've temporarily closed that road.
How
What's wrong
long is
with the road?
temporary?
I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see, aren't we?
Follow the municipal act.
Okay? I'm sorry that you're listening to this. There are a lot of good things that are also happening in our municipality. And it's a great place to live and raise a family, and welcome to our municipality.
Not if you live in
I-
a rural area and you can't get your kids to school because they don't gravel the roads, Judy.
Well, I appreciate it. At
Not
least
very welcoming.
you have this platform.
And you won't gravel the roads.
Can you let
go
him
into
speak
Camp
first?
Bernina.
Just-
Not
he's
very
speaking.
welcoming.
He's speaking.
I was saying,
I'm sorry.
at least you have this platform, you know, where you can discuss, you know, these kind of
Absolutely.
issues. Where I'm from, you know, it's just corruption. We don't have this, you know, you don't have this conversation. You just deal with, and people
Right.
fix their own roads, but you still pay the taxes.
Yeah.
So,
I think in a lot of ways, Canada and in our area, Manitoba and anywhere in the prairies, we're so fortunate to live where we live, and I think we take it for granted. And I do appreciate your comment, and yes, we do have issues with our roads, but it's not like we're not gonna listen to you, and it's not like we're not gonna try. And we will do the best we can without trying to raise the taxes so that they're out of control as well. Because there's this balance, right? Everybody wants this, but they don't wanna pay for this. So, you know, the minute that we put a 200% increase on your taxes, this room will be full and overflow, right? So, and rightfully so. So we're trying to make sure that we can come to that. Is it perfect? No, it's not. But I do appreciate the fact that where you came from, you didn't even have the ability to do this, to have a discussion in an open forum, whereas today we can. And I appreciate all your comments, and I know that you've taken time out of your day to come here, and I know that there are some in the room that I will never please, and as a council, we will never come to an agreement. Pretty sure that's true. But I do listen. I have written down a lot of things. We will have another discussion on roads, and more discussion on roads, you know, we have a council that does understand that there are issues, you know, and Mike is new to our council in this term, and I mean, he said to us that it's a lot bigger job than what you think going in, is what he is told. And the roads in his place aren't great either. So, I don't know, Mike?
We didn't have this problem until the MDP made the councils join.
Yeah, that was a big mistake.
That's because all the towns were broke, that's why they did it.
Yeah, and that's why
That's
my
why?
taxes are going up.
That's
the town's
why they
getting
did
out
it.
debt, And that's why
Or
the town's getting out of
management.
debt.
That's exactly why they did it.
We can't fix that, eh? Like, I'd love to be able to fix that, but we can't fix that.
We
So,
tried to do
we're
single mill
amalgamated,
rate, fought it like crazy.
there's nothing we can do, we have to try to move on.
They gave you the tools to do that. You can do special levies and everything and keep the taxes separate.
That's what we did. We just
Well, you don't,
didn't-
you have road maintenance in town combined with road maintenance in the country. Well, that's two totally different issues.
We don't.
No, we don't, actually. It's totally, we have two separate budgets for that and
Well, how
that.
come you combined it all in here so nobody can make sense of it then?
Because it's high level at the end of the day.
This is a presentation about high level. If you want to know exactly, did you find the information for Elmer?
Yeah, the taxable assessment in town is just over 60 million,
I wanted to
or
know.
63 million, and then in the rural, it's 169 million.
Those are exact figures? I don't wanna guess, I want the exact figures.
We told you.
63,167,370,
Okay.
169,032,630.
Can you just say that again, please?
63,167,370, 169,032,630.
Okay, now explain this to me then. When you do a 1% levy across everything, for everything at large, how much is the rural pay against Dearborn?
Hmm?
Okay, you take your 1% levy now, this is the taxable levy, so this is based down to the taxable part.
Mhm.
So you're doing stuff at large. So at large, we pay this, our percentage, they pay their percentage, and it comes up to this figure you need for the 1%. So what comes from the RM and what comes from the town? On anything at large?
We still have it broken down similar to years past where it's town, urban and rural. As far as the breakdown, I'd have to calculate that out as far as, I don't have that number
So
readily
you guys
available.
don't even know how much of a tax swing has taken place to swing taxes back and forth since the forced amalgamation? That's what you're telling me?
Yeah.
We went through that at our special service bylaw hearing a couple of weeks ago.
Unfortunately,
Fortunately,
I was trying to put a crop in.
it's on our website and on YouTube. You can watch the hearing
Well,
at that point in time.
I would ask you to watch it, Elmer, because it did explain,
Yeah, that's just on that one levy though.
but that's the levy that's going
And
to affect.
what changed in the RCMP? Did the RCMP funding did it change drastically now in the last 8 years?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
I figured probably it did.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
renegotiated.
They
And they're
haven't-
in
Well, I
negotiations
knew
again.
that, but
It's high.
but the rural always had a way different
Oh, yeah.
pay
Yeah.
than the town.
Yeah.
The negotiations of the contract for the RCMP and the costs for the contract is exponentially higher than it was,
Well,
right?
we knew that was coming.
And we knew that
had
was
been for
coming,
years.
because they negotiated that, but what they caught us with was the back pay as well.
Oh, I know, we knew that was coming.
And we figured that was coming, but it's a lot of money that you're all of a sudden coming up with, right? So we do get a grant, you saw the grant in here.
Yeah, I think it's like
regarding
200
the
and-
Just
policing.
over
Yeah,
half.
it's 232,000.
yeah, something like that, yeah.
Well, policing itself is like over 500 or close to
Yeah,
400,
546 or something.
400 and some thousand for policing.
Right.
We don't have a choice in that. That's what we have to pay.
So
If
how many police do we actually have that are supposed to be looking after our municipality?
We have, because we have a contract, we actually have the RCMP that we're supposed to have, and I think there's three.
Well, in the contract adds 2.5, I think.
2.5 is for Boissevain. If we didn't have that contract, we would be like some of the others that don't have contracts. If there's a vacancy, it doesn't come here. But in our case, because we have a contract and because we pay what we pay, We are guaranteed 2.5.
So we're supposed to have them, but we know they're all in Clarny and somewhere else, I never hear them.
Well,
Well,
we don't know that, and you don't know that, but they are around.
And
Yeah.
we're fortunate to have, one, I think, two,
Kevin
actually,
lives here,
Yeah.
and
that live in our community
Yeah.
too. And that hasn't always been the case, because they can live wherever they want to live, right?
Yeah,
That's,
I know that.
so, yeah, it's a difficult thing, but we can't go on our own. We've talked to people in other municipalities that tried to do policing on their own. Whoa,
Well, you get a big case, you have to call the RCMP.
you do, and
Then you
then
pay through
you
the nose.
pay out of your pocket.
Well, then you'll pay overtime to have them come.
Yeah, and so if you have, happen to have a murder or whatever that you have in your municipality, and you don't have a contract with the RCMP, you are gonna pay all of their overtime, all of their time, everything. Whereas this way, that's all included. If something major happens here, we will have them here, and it won't be at any extra cost. It's a consolation of sorts, but it's not perfect,
No, I
but.
know.
It would be nice if they've got a contract, it would be nice for them to be more visible.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we,
I have followed some of the truckers
yeah,
through
through town,
this town, particularly at this time of the night,
yeah. Brutal,
and it's more than 50 trucks.
absolutely.
More than 60.
And the other concern I have is, and everybody's concern is what's going on at the school, and I know that their little plain car sits up there once in a while, but not often enough. And those truckers, as everybody knows, they've got radios, and somebody goes through there, well, the little gray car's here, so everybody behaves, but the little gray car isn't there,
I hear you.
look out.
We do meet with them on a regular basis. They do come, and more now than they used to. And we raise that issue all the time with them about, we need more coverage in town and in the rural. We need to see them. We need them to be visible, right?
It would be nice if they would catch some of those guys that they got those loud mufflers on those cars, like to take off about the C-store and head south.
Or
Yeah.
from the home hotel and.
It'd be nice if they caught one or two of those guys, maybe it would slow down some of the traffic.
I used to have a slow, fast car too.
You'd be surprised.
We're too close to the highway to know what goes on there.
Are there any other questions? And I do thank you for coming.
Like the Legary gravel pit,
Oh, yes.
is it, you can't get gravel there anymore?
We got some there
It hasn't been
It's
for
years. No, it's done.
It's done?
Yeah, like they just cleaned out, and then some other lady owned land that had it there, but the highway.
Yeah, it's done.
Well,
And the one, like there just isn't any, like Elmer, you said, you guys have checked this municipality for gravel all over. You had the committee, you guys went and tested, you went and did all that. We did talk to, one individual that had some gravel, but it's not enough to bring a crusher in it for, it's not enough to, cause you,
been there and done that.
So the days are gone of the big pits that you could just pull in and pull out. So we have to do things strategically, and whether we're doing them right or not, I don't know. We depend on the people with the know. That's why we're having someone come again and talk to us about roads. None of us are happy with the roads. John isn't happy with the roads. I think if we could find some gravel that is decent gravel, it would be worth bringing in a lot of gravel, and it might be worth a debenture to bring in enough to do something good to the roads, to make sure that they're going to be, but we have to find that. We thought Brandon was the answer, right? We did that contract out of Brandon, and when they started, they were pretty good, because we had them all checked and all the gravel was right up to standards. But as the season went on, we got lesser quality, and we got more sand and then we had the rocks. Then we got the big rocks out of them. So Brandon wasn't the answer, and we hauled it from Brandon. So I don't know, now we're getting, Killarney does a portion of it, and the ones there that are set up on the Deloraine, on the, on number 3 highway, Colette, Colette's bringing, and they have a crusher, and they do it well. Both of those groups,
A
yeah,
little bit from Sparrow as well.
and Sparrow.
Well, there's a nice pit of gravel, I don't know much about it, but east of my net, on number
Yep,
23, there's, it seems to be quite a bit of gravel in that area too, but.
the problem is, they don't wanna sell it
No,
to
those
us,
guys-
right?
Why would you?
Why would you sell it to another
You have it in your
municipality, right?
There's that part of it too, I realize.
Yeah, like, because we've approached people and said, yeah, we'd really like to buy gravel, and they go, you know, we already have enough clients, they already supply their own municipality with gravel, so we're kind of like the last man out sort of thing.
I've even checked with the municipality of Killarney, Turner Mountain with their pit, and
Yeah.
they're not interested
No.
in selling
They
you.
said,
What
no,
about Curtis Clark's pit? Have you
at
checked?
Hartney,
No, Lauder.
Lauder.
It's
It's
done.
good quality gravel, but I don't know how much there is there.
I think it's almost done though,
Is it?
I think so.
the problem
Another
is,
few loads.
most of these pits are done, right? The ones that are around here in this area, they're done. I mean, we go through Russell area going to our lake, and, I just drive by there and I see those hills of gravel, and I think, wouldn't we give anything to have that kind of gravel? But then you look at the cost of trucking it from all that way down here, we may have to come to that. That's why we're looking at this other, it's a gravel thing for the roads. It's new. I don't know, there's one municipality by Brandon that's done a piece of road with it. So it might be something that we need to look at for the high traffic roads. It may work, but we've gotten hold of them, and they're supposed to get back to us
Yeah, they haven't yet.
and tell us and come and talk to us as a council, and what is it? It's a huge cost, but is it gonna be any more cost than what we're gonna have to pay for gravel? So those are the discussions that we've had at this table. It's not like we haven't talked about how we're gonna do it. We even looked at a debenture, how we would do a debenture. We looked at across the line and how to get it back, and
That was feasible at one time.
it just isn't anymore, right? The dollar
72 cents.
cents on the, and you have to have, at every load
It has to be broken.
has to be brokered. So,
But you'd be buying gravel by the hour then, because trucks would have to wait longer.
and that's
not-
exactly what the truckers told us. They said, that's probably not gonna work either.
Elmer, whatever happened in the PF when they were looking, was there gravel in there or not?
There was gravel there, but the Ocean Fisheries put us out.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
because there was gravel
We said
right
we
there.
killed too many fish, we started stirring that gravel up, so they stopped it.
It's a tough time, and the regulations are not getting any easier, right? So if anybody knows where we can get gravel, please let us know, because we have done a ton of research on it, and,
Have you ever thought about approaching Evan Keller again and seeing if you couldn't lease that pit from him and go in with your own crusher and crush your own gravel?
yeah, we
Because he's
did.
got gravel.
Yeah, we
He's
talked
got-
about that too.
He's got decent gravel, but he doesn't care about that gravel business. That's not his main line. He just happens to sit on a half section of gravel that he bought. His main is building buildings, and, he's building Moose in Saskatchewan now. Because
Yeah,
We'll give them a call again and
it's worth
see.
another call.
Yeah.
I mean, it has been done, but whether we need to do it again and say, we really would like to bring, because we would bring our own crusher in. We would bring in a crew. We would do it ourselves.
we want a section of the pit.
We would
Where you have to tie
stockpile.
up a section of the pit, so that's yours, and you crush it.
Absolutely.
That's your gravel.
Absolutely. And stockpile it and keep it and make sure that we have it. But it's,
I've actually had to just this year assist Evan Keller, one of their development projects. They couldn't get a letter from the city of Brandon, and so I had to assist them with that. So certainly, they're due to assist us now as well, I feel. So
maybe.
I'm in hopes. I'll give them a call and see if there is something that could be a possibility or not.
Like, he's my nephew, so I should.
Well, if you
I should-
have an in with
I
him, then
shouldn't-
you
I
should
shouldn't
probably,
Trying to push him, but like I give him a brief over the roads, I said, Evan, how are you delivering this gravel? It's supposed to be crushed gravel. Like, you can't be delivering rocks on the road that are 3 and 4 inches diameter.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with your crusher? And he said, well, it must be digging too bit in the bottom of the pit. And I said, well, that may be happening in one load, but not every load.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the
Well,
gravel was great the first year of the contract,
Yeah,
and then
it just went-
after, each year after that, it went downhill.
But the gravel quality, I thought was really good.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Well, if you have an in with him,
Well, next time I see him, I'll talk to him.
ask him to call us and we would.
And I'll certainly get a hold of him though.
Yeah,
'Cause
like-
we're never gonna find gravel any closer.
I don't think we
It's only
will
gonna be
either.
further.
No, Elmer, I agree with you. I don't think we're gonna find gravel in this municipality. I think we have to look at how are we gonna bring it in, what are we gonna bring in, and how much is that gonna cost
I
us?
just don't know why all the gravel in Turtle Mountain's all been dumped on the other side.
I know.
Because that says, going down that road, that's just solid gravel now.
We discussed
Everywhere.
that. We talk about that, you know, the fact that it's right on the other side of the Turtle
Yeah,
Mountain.
they're
It's
all-
right there, and
they're
it's
dumped
all
on the other
dumped there,
side somehow.
all kinds of it, so.
That's why I
um,
wondered if you get in the PF, because maybe that's part of that ridge, eh?
Yeah. Well, Lloyd Turner knows a friend that lives just south of the PF. He lives right there. We're trying to get gravel at him, but couldn't push the board.
No,
The only way to get that through is come through the PF and bring it.
no, we looked into that again too. We looked into how can we get some gravel from across the line, and we can't.
No,
I
it's
mean,
not
It's not
feasible.
feasible. And we looked in Brandon, and we've looked in Clarny, and we've looked in Deloraine, and we've looked in Melita, we've looked, at, you know, but we're open to wherever you can find it. If they'll sell us enough, we'll put a crusher in it if we have to. We'll do whatever we have to do, but we can't do anything with these roads unless we get some decent gravel. We're just pushing, it's like salt and peppering the road. It's like you're not putting enough gravel on to even maintain it. I don't care how they maintain it. If there's no gravel on it to maintain it, I don't, how that's gonna work, right?
Well, Sir Jeff Canada was terribly disappointed when
Yeah.
he stopped buying all that gravel he tore out of the road when they rebuilt it and stopped it, told him that was his gravel for the PR.
Yeah.
He didn't want any of that gravel, so that's all junk. So now he's been putting junk on the road for the last 3 years since they stockpiled. He said, well, as soon as that pile's gone, I'll be happy, because then I can start getting good gravel again.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, the road's just completely wrecked.
And you've talked, I mean, we talked to the provincial government, we talked to other municipalities, and it is not just us. It is
Oh,
not.
It's a big issue.
No,
It's a
PR
huge
roads,
issue.
too.
So these people that are coming up with new solutions for roads, for gravel roads, they're the ones that are gonna make one pile of money at some point. Because if this thing works by Brandon, we probably are gonna be better off to do that.
Well, then rail gravel it from the bog.
Exactly, exactly. Cause like, how are you gonna do that? Like, you know, the logistics of it.
Or
But-
we can dream and in 10 years' time, we'll all have electric flying cars.
The Jacksons will be here.
I don't even want a driving electric one, let alone
Is there any,
flying.
are there any other questions? I mean, it's been a good discussion, and I'm pleased that you're here, and I'm pleased that the discussion is happening. I know we're not always gonna agree, I'm okay with that, but I guess I'm not okay with the disrespect, and that's where I draw the line. But as far as a discussion, we're open to it. There's not one of us here that think we know everything, because we don't. But we do know that we do the best that we can for this municipality. It's not the best for you, unfortunately, but it is the best that we can do. And if you find me some gravel, call.
What's the reward?
Better road.
Decent road to drive on.
Probably gravel roads. Any other questions?
Yeah, I must say, I was terribly disappointed last year. My taxes went up 10.5% last year. I never saw even one load of gravel in our area.
And we hear that, Elmer, to be honest, I hear that from most rural people. And we have talked about it at great length about, well, how do we fix this? We're doing what we think is the best by pulling the shoulders and using the gravel that's at the shoulders as a temporary
That's a
fix.
Band-Aid.
But it's a Band-Aid. And we know that, and we still have to get the better gravel. You know, like, I look at the Lake Max Road that was pulled on the shoulders and it was in really good shape. It isn't now because there's not enough gravel on it to keep it that way. It doesn't matter who goes
You
out to.
gotta maintain it.
You gotta maintain it. And how can you maintain it if you've got nothing on the surface to maintain, right? And you're gonna lose your crown and you're gonna sink the road. We know that. It's just find us some gravel and we'll be really happy. So, yeah. I do appreciate you coming and we will, I'm sure, be chatting. And we will be having another open house when the lagoon is announced. And so you can come and you can.
And we'll give a
we'll
detailed
get
history
a
of
detailed history of
what
why
has happened
why we were doing
over the
what we
last
did.
10 years, because
And
it's
back
been a
to-
roller coaster, and yeah, I wish I could tell already more today, but
Yeah, we just-
unfortunately,
Do I understand correctly that we can just phone one of our counselors? and
Absolutely.
take our concern to-
Phone your counselor. We do like it done in a service request because there's a paper trail to say that you did it, right? So it's easier for a counselor. A counselor can't make independent decisions. We make it as a council, right? But they can certainly bring the discussion to the table, and we do. If you look at our reports, if you look at what we're doing, we do bring it to the table. They can guide you in a direction. If you don't want to fill out a service request, I've filled out, I don't know how many service requests for people on their behalf. But the only reason we want the service request is a paper trail. Because then we
And they
look
come to
at,
a council
and
meeting.
then every service
see them.
request comes to the council. Otherwise, you can talk to one counselor, but do you know if he's gonna bring it to council or not? This way you know it's coming to council through a service request.
and we immediately know then, like, as soon as you submit a service request, it comes to the office, it's sent to the department that it's related to immediately, and then at the next council meeting, all of the service requests are reviewed, and then it also gives us an opportunity as the staff to look into it and potentially address it or prioritize it, and then update council at the council meeting.
I know it's a pain, but it's a way of making sure that what you're saying is being heard. You can call me anytime you wanna call me, I guess, if you want, but I'm gonna say to you, I prefer, I'll talk to you about it, but we need to fill out a service request, because that way, everybody on council knows, right? And I can't make a decision. I am not a decision maker. None of us are independent decision makers. We are as a council.
I understand that. But there's times when you might wanna make a request, and
Yeah.
you can't get down the road to get to town
Yeah,
for a while, and,
call.
But if you phone any of us, like, we can fill out the service request too. Like, anybody that says, I'm not doing that, I do it.
Yeah, I do too.
So that it gets to the table, and
But
at
you're-
least we get to see it.
But-
Because otherwise, it just goes into,
But your
Yeah.
best bet, if is to call the office, because Leo then knows where the graders are, right? He can say, well, your grader is heading out your way, or he can call John and say, we don't wanna be every one of us calling John, that's not fair. That's not fair to John, and he's got directions from Leo. But, so that would mean if you called me, I would have to call Leo and say, I have this. You can cut out the middleman by phoning the office, is what we're saying.
But it will still come up if.
It still comes up.
Because we bring it forward to the council meeting, or I do.
But don't hesitate. Your counselors are elected officials. We're elected by the people. We're for the people. 2 years, you're gonna have a whole new bunch here, so.
And it's based on priority too, like, so, because we deal with many requests and we have to prioritize, not just because you bring forward a concern, doesn't mean it instantly becomes top priority. We determine based on, necessity and scheduling, and there's a few different factors, and so, and then we always discuss, I update council, and council updates me on other requests, and we kind of go from there. But certainly, yeah, we try our best to prioritize based on the most important. Like, if you can't get down your road, well, that's critical.
Do you use traffic counters?
Traffic counters?
Yeah.
The only one we have is through town, but
Well, no, I mean, but to determine where the traffic is on the rural roads, how much?
no, not at this time, no. We did put in a request, the province had through MPI, more of those like flashing lights and that keeps track. And we did put in a request for 3 of them, and 2 of them would have been in the rural, just so that we could not only have a little bit of a deterrent in regards to limiting speed, but then also keep track, because it does keep track of traffic count. The last time we had checked through town here, over the course of a year, we have 1 million vehicles go through by the school there over the course of a year.
So our roads are not in good shape. No, we do have a lot of traffic.
Gravel takes a beating because of the railroad system and the elevator system.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's raining or what it is, they gotta
Exactly.
rain that day.
And we also have, you know, hog industry that have to go rain or shine, they have to. We have
Oil.
farmers that used to have a quota system that now have a contract, and when they get called in for the contract, they have to call. That you don't have a choice anymore. You used to be able to say, you know what, I'll haul it another day because I have a quota system. Now it's contract, and I know how that works, you know. So it's a different world. Farmers used to have smaller trucks. They now have, you know, big trucks.
Farmers didn't used to haul it, was right, they wait till it dried out.
That's right.
But now they
You-
don't.
They
Now
used to
they
go
don't.
70,
Now they can.
you used
They
to go
can't.
70, and now they go 110.
I mean, the world has changed and our infrastructure has not changed. If you saw what happened in Calgary this week, you'll know that we're not alone. Infrastructure in this entire country was all built in the 60s, and it has not been upgraded. So, you know what? Your roads have been built many, many years ago. They should be upgraded. We don't know how we're gonna be able to afford to upgrade them all, so we're gonna have to pick what's the, you know, the roads that are the most used and try to do those. So yes, when we close temporarily close a road that goes through a ravine, we're doing that so that we can use something to do something else on a road that's used. If there's one person on the other side that can have access by going around a little bit, you know, that's the way it has to be. But, you know, we're also in talk with neighboring municipalities about the roads that are the joining roads that are, you know,
Divide.
the divide roads that we always worry about, we work on, you know, but we have to have an agreement with them. We're working now to try to get an agreement with the Parks Road, right? There's everybody that you're talking to. And when you're talking to governments and when you're talking to other municipalities, nobody wants to spend money in our municipality. They want to spend it in their own. So they can just say, well, that's the divide road, and we're not doing that part of the road, so that's okay, right? It's been going on for 100 years. That's the way it is. And we would probably be the same. But every time there's just a little bit of pushback from everybody that you talk to. So you do the best you can with them, and you negotiate with them and come up, and we're in the midst of trying to negotiate with the parks right now to see if we can, you know, I hear you. We're trying, right? Anyway, any other questions? I thank you for your time tonight, and look forward to seeing you at the next public meeting, which will probably be for the lagoon. We'll have an open house for it.